Earlier in the week, I talked about the roof. It's the Georgia Dome roof. So if you're going to ask questions, Kevin's going to tell you. You need to project and use your coaching voice. So we're going to use our coaching voice. Josh Heupel is the Steve Spurrier First Year Coach of the Year award, only two-time winner of that award in its history, in 2018 and 2021. As a head coach, Josh ranks in the top 10 among head coaches nationally in NFL draft picks produced in the last two NFL drafts combined. As a college football player, he was runner-up for the Heisman Trophy in 2000, led the Oklahoma Sooners to an undefeated regular season and a national championship, finishing with a victory over Florida State in the 2001 Orange Bowl. We are in the College Football Hall of Fame. That's the Captain Obvious moment. Josh is on the ballot for this year's College Football Hall of Fame nominees from the National Football Foundation. He's the son of a coach. His father, Ken, joined him watching film when his father was head coach at Division II Northern State University, and I think is ingrained in him football, as we were talking about some of the specifics of the game behind the curtain. Native of Aberdeen, South Dakota, he led the Tennessee Volunteers for last year in offense. Scoring offense jumped 99 spots in FBS rankings, going from 108th in the 2020 season to 7th in 2021, shattering 8 team single-season records. University of Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel.
Great to see everybody here this summer. It's been fast and furious. I hope you guys have truly gotten a chance to enjoy your summer. You can hear the rain up top. I'm going to try to use my coaching voice. That's the recommendation of Greg, and excited to be here with you. A year ago, I talked about the traditions of being in the volunteer experience and all things good about Knoxville and the university and Vol Nation across the country. And year two have really gotten a chance to truly live in it and immerse it and just soak it in. And it's a great time to be a volunteer. I reflect back on the last year and obviously the success that we had as a football program and where we're going, but also just the success that we've had throughout our entire athletic department. It's been fun to take our players, to take my family, our kids, to the games there in Knoxville, Tennessee. And that's men's and women's basketball, it's baseball, it's all of our Olympic sports. So many positive things happening on campus there. And for us on the football side of it, exciting about the renovations and the expansion of our current Anderson training facility, great players lounge recovery area, over $100 million project in reinvigorating Neyland Stadium, which is one of the great venues in all of college sports, and so much excitement that exists surrounding Vol Nation. It's been a lot of fun, and a great amount of that is due to our leadership. Danny White, our athletic director, Chancellor Plowman, and our president, Randy Boyd. Great leadership that has a vision of how we want to compete, giving our players all the resources that they need, and they're going to go out and chase it every single day for us. It's been fun. A year ago, I talked about we were in a race to become as good as we could, as fast as we can. And I'm really proud of what we did in that first 12 months, but so excited about what's going to happen in the future here too. And we took great strides in year one in our culture, a sense of accountability, the standards that we were going to have inside of our program. How are we going to compete together and enjoy that process, and how we were going to be connected and love one another. And as much as anything, we've improved in that area, not just from where we finished the season, but since we got back in January, and really excited about what's happening there. Last year, we broke 8 school records on the offensive side of the football. We finished top 10 in the country in tackles for loss. I think we had 5 guys that were drafted, the most inside of our program since 2017. There's a ton of excitement. I think, everybody in Vol Nation, recruits across the country, our fan base, you can feel and sense that energy every single day. And a lot of our success can be attributed to the 3 guys that we brought here today. 3 really special players, but even better people and how they approach everyday life and how they live their life outside of the game. Hendon Hooker, you guys know his story, transfer that came into our program a year ago, earned the starting job, competed so consistently throughout the year, grew throughout the year, and has taken great strides this offseason. A young man that had an opportunity to declare for the draft, chose to come back to our program, I believe because of the culture that we have and the improvements that he knew he could make in coming back and helping his career as he steps to that next level after the season is over. And Hendon's a pure winner. He is a great leader inside of our program. I think from year 1 to year 2, that's one of the things that he's really been able to gravitate to and grab a hold of, is that leadership component. And everybody inside of our building, feels his energy and focus every single day. I know I'll get questions about NIL here at some point. Man, Hendon is all things good about NIL. You look at the scriptures book that he co-wrote, his impact on our community and the youth inside of our community. I think that's exactly what NIL should be, and so proud of what he's done. Safety that's with us, Trey Flowers, young man that's from Atlanta. So excited as we got on the plane today about coming home and being able to represent himself, his family, and our program. 5th-year player that's made great strides in the offseason, physically changing his body, the focus that he's coming to the building every single day with, and another young man that's really grown on the leadership side of it. And then Cedric Tillman, who a year ago nobody had really heard of. Now he's regarded as one of the best at his position at wide receiver in the entire country. His work habits a year ago, parlayed into him playing the way that he did. And certainly as we look forward, expect great things from him. But I think it's a great story about college football. And as we embark on this part of the year, the work that guys have put in since January, giving themselves a chance to make that next step as a player when we get on the football field this fall. Really excited about his future here this year and in the future. For us, looking ahead as we have prepared, since January in each quarter of our off season, one of the things that we've been stressing is the ability to finish, and that comes from a lot of different things. It comes from how you live your daily life, your ability to finish a rep inside of your strength and conditioning program. It comes in how you finish a semester academically, and I'm really proud of what we're doing. A year ago, we had 4 or 5 games that we had an opportunity to win in the 4th quarter. We didn't end up on the right side of that. Finishing the right way is something that I think we've taken a great stride in here during our off season, but it's been very purposeful in who we are every single day. Our work habits had to greatly increase from a year ago. We talked about, as a football team, teams that hope, teams that believe, and then teams that expect. And teams that expect to win, they find a way to win because of the work that they've put in during the off season. That's been one of our focuses, and I'm really proud of the strides that our team has taken since last January. Excited about getting on the football field with them here in a week or so as we embark on training camp, and can't wait for fall to kick off. We get a chance to open up on Thursday night in front of the entire country, and looking forward to ball walk and running out the tee and getting ready to compete inside of Neyland Stadium. So with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thank you, Coach. If you have a question, raise your hand. If you can stand, we ask you to do so, and please speak directly into the mic with your name and affiliation, as it gets a little bit harder to hear right now. So we'll start right in front of us, Coach. Johnny.
Good morning, Coach. Johnny Ballpark Franks with Franks Media in Nashville and Huntsville. You enjoyed tremendous success as a player, finishing as the runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. How has your success as a player helped you in your coaching career, especially as head coach with Tennessee?
Yeah, I think, for myself, embarking on the challenge that we did 18 months ago at Tennessee and rebuilding an iconic historic program, I was able to look back at my playing career, a program that hadn't been to a bowl game for 5 straight years before we got there. Obviously, a great amount of success in my first 2 years there. what were the footprints, the strongholds that you had to have inside of your program to grow. I certainly look back on my playing career from a global view inside of the program, but also personally too, and in the route that I took to get there, the work habits that I had to have to become the player that I became. And, one of the things that, for our players that I talk about, and certainly like Cedric and Hendon this year, great numbers a year ago, and as they, put the challenge in front of themselves for year two, it's never going to be about the numbers. My numbers in year two as a player weren't near the numbers that I had in year one. However, we found ways to win football games, and it's going to be about winning football games. And those are things that I talk about inside the quarterback room. I talk about with our staff, but also things that I share with our entire program on a time-to-time basis.
Coach, we'll go over to our right side along the aisle. Vince.
Hey, Josh, Vince Ferrara, 99.1, the Sports Animal. Obviously, it's about the team offensively, but now with Velus, Javante, some of the guys that you lost at wide receiver from a year ago, what kind of extra attention do you expect Cedric Tillman to get from defenses this year? And what's been your experience counteracting a guy that's maybe a prime target at wide receiver?
Yeah, a year ago, who thought Ced was going to have the year that he had, or Velus was going to become a high draft pick like he became, or Javante was going to have the impact that he had inside of our offense too? And that's the great thing about college football is that, a quarter of your roster is turning over every single year. A lot of great players leave, but with that, there's great opportunity. Certainly, Ced's going to get a ton of attention, and it's our role as offensive staff to put him in a position to create some isolations, create one-on-one still, and find a way to get him the football. But it's imperative for us offensively that the guys at the other positions step up and play at a championship level too. Really proud of Jalen Hyatt and the steps that he's made. I think there's great competition inside of our program at the slot position. And then on the outside, this training camp, there will be great competition as well. And we're going to need somebody to step forward, and really multiple guys to step forward at all those positions.
Coach, we're going to go all the way in front of me in the back of the room. Mike, right.
Coach, Mike Griffith, AJC Dog Nation, you mentioned the improvements to Neyland Stadium. How important are those home SEC recruiting weekends and the ability to show off at the facilities on campus?
Yeah, absolutely imperative that you use those opportunities. That's true of official visits, but it's true of unofficial visits as well. When we get recruits up to Knoxville, Tennessee, they see the river, they see Vol Walk, they see the game day environment with over 100,000 people there. It gives them a great perspective on this being college football as good as it gets. And then it's up to the culture piece to find out if it's the right fit for them. But those are great weekends for us. And we got a bunch of home games here against really good opponents inside of this league that will be great recruiting weekends for us.
Hey, Coach, we're going to go over on the right-hand side along the aisle, far aisle.
Hey, Coach. Connor Guerra, Saturday Down South. Cedric, how much have you seen that maturation process with him? How different is he and where he's at, just understanding the offense compared to last year?
Yeah, last year this time, a good grasp for having only had 15 days excuse me, on the practice field. He's a great example for everybody inside of our program that if you go about your business the right way every day and you compete, you're going to grow. And a year ago, I talked about him, the first third of spring ball, second third of spring ball, the last third of spring ball, how dramatically different of a player he was. Great work habits during the summer. For him in year two, compared to some of the great guys that I've had, maybe a Gabe Davis, it's had a huge impact in the NFL with Buffalo. His ability to really sit back, watch cut-ups, digest what we're doing offensively, but get into the intricacies of what he's doing, I think is going to allow him to play faster, to be more decisive, and create more opportunities and bigger windows for himself. And ultimately, that should lead to us being successful offensively. But he's done a great job all offseason. You're talking about January and February before we got spring ball. He was in there watching film every single day on his own. And he's got great command of what we're doing. That allows him to play within himself at a higher level.
all the way back, left-hand side, right in front of the TV set.
Yes, sir. Edgar Thompson, the Orlando Sentinel. The Tennessee loss in the Swamp was pretty one-sided last year. Somehow you guys flipped the switch and went in a different direction. The Gators went in the opposite one. What changed with your program, and were you surprised after what you saw that day, what happened to Florida?
Yeah, I just think in late third quarter, there's some things that we did, self-inflicted wounds that changed the way that game was played in the fourth quarter. And as a program, and a young program, you have an opportunity to learn from it, grow, and push forward and really climb, or it can be something that's devastating. I think that was one of the moments inside of our first year there as a staff and as a program that changed the trajectory of the program. Sat in the team meeting room, we're able to dissect and show them not the entire game, but the key moments of things that we controlled that had nothing to do with anybody that was wearing a different colored jersey that impacted the game in the way that it was played. And through that, I think they gained confidence in who they were, what we were doing, and we were able to compete and grow throughout the course of the season.
Coach, we'll go over to our right, third row. Scott.
Hey, Josh, Scott Rabelais from the Baton Rouge Advocate. I'm kind of curious if the head coach in you is ever in conflict with the play caller in you. Have you ever had to fight the tendency to want to, maybe the head coach wants to call something a little more conservative, but the play caller wants to do something a little more bold? I
try to wear the head coach hat in all of those moments. I think you're always constantly balancing what's best for the football team in situational football.
Hey, we're going to come up here. We've got one here on the second row with Bob over here on our left. Here comes the mic. Bob.
Hey, I'm Bob Holt, the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. I was actually going to ask you a friend of mine from Oklahoma, John Hoover. You probably know John.
Yeah.
You're a former quarterback at UCF. You're doing Gabriel's at OU now. And just wondering what you think about him as a player, maybe what he can do for OU, what they're getting in him.
Yeah, great leader, great work habits, going to be so consistent inside the building, guy that is a true freshman, true sophomore, I think led the country in passing over those 2 years. They're getting a great quarterback, no doubt about it.
Okay, we're going to go right over here to the right, about 4 rows back.
Hey, Josh. Wilson Alexander with The Advocate. The NIL question, how does your program go about managing that, especially when it comes to possibly interacting with any sort of collective?
Yeah, for us, I think there's great opportunity in it. I mentioned Hendon and what he's been able to do, have an impact on our community, on youth inside of our community in particular. It's an opportunity to educate and empower our student athletes, which is what college football and the collegiate experience is all about. I think it's dramatically changed the way that young people come into your program and how thoughtful they are about every situation that they're involved in and how they're portrayed and what's being out there on social media, the decisions that they're making every night of the week. And I think in those ways, it's such a empowering tool for our student athletes. And, I just go back to myself as a player and certainly the most powerful thing that I had was my teammates and the logo that I was playing for. At the same time, though, I think I was creating some value there too, and I would have liked to have had an opportunity to been afforded to take part in NIL, and would have liked to have, worn my starting left tackle's jersey or worn his shirt. And I look at my own kids, Jason, Hannah, that get a chance to run around the house or run with their friends and wear Cedric Tillman and Hendon Hooker shirt or jersey. I think there's empowering opportunities through NIL.
Coach, we're going to go over here to our left-hand side on the third row.
Nick Suss with the Clarion Ledger. Lane has made a bunch of jokes about having to sign mustard bottles and golf balls after last year's game. Just wondering if you've had a similar experience and just kind of reflecting on that game last year, just what stands out to you?
Yeah, I didn't sign any mustard bottles or golf balls. Maybe wish I had had a golf ball that night, you know what I mean? But I'm only kidding. All right? But it was a great competitive atmosphere, man. Like that's college sports as good as it gets. Just the energy and electricity inside of that stadium for 59 minutes, man. It was special.
Okay, we'll go right down here to the right, Charles.
Charles Odom with the Associated Press here in Atlanta. Hendon is one of several notable examples of transfers between the ACC and SEC this year. How important is that geographical footprint, do you think? Is it important to you as you examine potential transfers, and do you expect that to be a continuing thing in the future?
You're talking about with Hendon? I'm sorry, I missed the first part of that question. Him coming into year two, the transfer portal obviously is a part for everybody as they manage their roster. Us at UT, our footprint is going to be extremely critical to us, at all times, and I think that's one of the things that's unique about Knoxville is being able to get east, west, north, and south and touch so many great recruiting areas. And at the same time, we have a brand and a logo that's going to allow us, with the style of play and the culture that we have, to reach coast to coast as well. But certainly inside of this footprint, that's going to be important for us.
Coach, we're going to go all the way to the back on the near aisle.
Josh Braden-Gall, 440 Sports. What specifically about your communication style has allowed you to find so much success so quickly with the players inside your program?
Yeah, I think just being extremely real with them, being completely transparent. One of the things that I've learned sitting in this role is to do less talking and do a lot more listening. There's a lot of value in that, and you gain things from your staff, but you gain them from your players too. And from night one, where I was introduced as a head coach, being able to have a real conversation with our players. I think we were in there for over an hour and a half. I gained some insight into things that were right, things that were broken, how they felt about things, and I think being able to attack some of those things early in it, I think they gained confidence and trust in me. And then the ability to be very consistent in what the standards, expectations, who and what we're going to be about, how I communicate with them every single day has been vitally important too. They're going to see me, they're going to feel my energy. I'm going to be the first guy that they see when they walk up the stairs every single day as we get ready to embark on the competitive journey for that day.
We're going to go to the back corner of this right section.
Coach Austin Price, VolQuest, you talk about value. How much value do you think having your quarterback and your receiver go to Times Square and get NIL education and all that stuff the last couple of days provides the future for helping your current student athletes? And then two, what have you noticed about the difference in recruiting when you first got here and a year and a half in?
Yeah, what a great opportunity, right? Isn't that what the collegiate experience is about, is exposing and giving kids opportunities way outside of the realm of what they would normally have to grow professionally and personally. And over the last couple of days, Hendon and Cedric having that opportunity to go up to New York City, take part in the NASDAQ, meet with local leaders of great corporations, and form and create relationships that should empower them whenever their playing days are done at UT and maybe even currently while they're there. That's a great opportunity, and exactly what the collegiate experience should be all about. The landscape of recruiting for UT now in the Power T is so dramatically different. Uncertainty when we first got there, the steady ground that we're on, the trajectory that our program is currently at, the competitive nature, the energy, the connection that you can see in the way that our players play. Now you're not talking about what you're going to do. Recruits have had an opportunity to see it. And now the greatest resource and tool that we have in recruiting is our current student athletes. And we're able to get recruits on campus. Those guys having an opportunity to spend time and talk with them is the greatest tool that we have.
Okay, we're going to stay in the back there on the right-hand side.
Hey, Josh. Dave Hooker with Off the Hook Sports. We're still in this infancy of NIL, and I'm just curious what lessons you've learned in the early stages of dealing with that.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important that you have a great culture inside of your locker room, that you have strong leadership, that you're able to have an open dialogue, be transparent and be honest with them as you see things that maybe are coming up as an issue or things that they're struggling with. educating and empowering them and giving them an opportunity to have their voice heard and to be real with them. And as long as you do that, I think you're going to have consistent and constant buy-in from your players. You're going to have trust from them, which are some of the key ingredients inside of your program.
Okay, we're going to go over here on our right-hand side.
Coach Stephen Hargis from the Times Free Press in Chattanooga. You've talked about how the biggest improvements come from year one to year two. I'm curious, defensively, what have you seen that you guys are going to make those needed improvements, specifically on third down?
Yeah, it can be the greatest, from game one to game two, year one to year two can be the greatest push of growth inside of your program. But it comes down to your work habits every single day. I am proud of what we've done up until this point. We got a long ways to go before we even kick off on opening night. For us defensively, there's a lot of things that we did extremely well. You look at our tackles for loss, getting people into third and long. We got to be better in third and long situations, which you're playing where you want to defensively when you're in that position. And then we got to get better in the red zone too, of forcing field goals and create negatives there and not giving up 7 points. A part of that is being able to affect the quarterback, not just with pressures, but with a four-man rush. We got to have some competition on the defensive line. I think we've certainly gained in the depth that we have inside of our program. A year ago, we were with 69 scholarship players as we opened fall training camp. We were the thinnest football team in America, hands down, not even close. You look across America, most people were playing with 90 to 95 because of COVID seniors. And we're deeper than we were. We're not as deep as we need to be. We'll still be under 85. But I think the depth, the competition, the year inside of our system, a year in strength and conditioning, the ability to strain, finish, and focus at the end of football games should allow us to take a step defensively for sure.
Okay, we have time for a couple more. We'll start in front of me, in the section in front of me, about 3/4 of the way back.
Adam Sparks, Knox News. Josh, with the success you had in year one, expectations are now higher. People want even more. How do you feel? How do you feel about being at a program where there's always a hunger to do better the next year as the previous year?
Man, I don't want to be anywhere where there isn't hunger to be better. The expectations are never going to be higher outside of the building than they are inside of the building. Getting our kids to understand and not pay attention or not soak in the outside noise. They're going to hear it. They're going to see it. But it can't change the way that you strain, you focus, and you go about your daily habits. A year ago, what was being said outside of our program had nothing to do with who and what we were as a program. When I came up here for Media Day a year ago to who and what we were when we opened up the season last fall and how we competed every single week. The outside noise will have nothing to do with who we are this fall either. We got to do a great job of continuing on this journey, competing, finishing our summer workouts here next week, and then having a great training camp, doing it one day at a time.
Okay, we'll take one final question over on the right side on the far aisle. Dave.
Josh, just in terms of your offense and the evolution of it, I know tempo is the key, but in terms of growing it into year two, how important is it to have a 4-minute type of offense, be able to hold the ball with the lead and moving forward?
Yeah, tempo is one of the tools that we use to apply pressure to a defense. There's a lot of things that we use. That's one of our best and greatest tools for sure. When we've been playing from ahead, that 4-minute offense is something that we have used. The different places that I've been, we've been extremely successful in it. A lot of that stems from the fact that we're able to rush the football. Guys get caught up in quarterback numbers and wide receivers numbers. At the end of the day, it all starts for us in the ability to run the football, control the line of scrimmage. But we need to play from ahead and then be able to do those things that you're talking about.
Coach Heupel, thank you for your time this morning.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a great afternoon.